Chosen one, this was not an accident. You were not supposed to hear this while scrolling mindlessly. You were not meant to listen to this with noise in the background. And you were definitely not meant to receive this while distracted. God slowed you down for a reason. Right now, before anything else, pause. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen. Notice how your body has been carrying tension you didn't even realize was there. Notice how your mind has been racing even when nothing urgent was happening. That restlessness you've been feeling lately, that heaviness that comes and goes without explanation, that sense that something is shifting but you can't quite put words to it. That is not random. That is not imagination. That is not weakness. That is transition. Chosen one, God called you here alone because what He is doing in you cannot be processed in public. Some seasons require witnesses. This one requires privacy. There are moments when God speaks loudly through people, and then there are moments when He speaks quietly because the message is too personal to survive noise. This is one of those moments. You've been wondering why you feel disconnected lately. Why even familiar faces feel distant, why conversations that used to excite you now drain you, why you can sit in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. And you've questioned yourself. Am I becoming cold? Am I isolating too much? Am I pushing people away? Why don't I feel like explaining myself anymore? But hear this clearly, chosen one. You are not isolating. You are being insulated. God has been quietly pulling you out of environments that would interfere with what He is building inside you. Not because people are evil, not because you are better than anyone else, but because what is under construction is fragile before it is strong. You are in formation, and formation is never loud. You don't build foundations on a stage. You don't install roots in front of an audience. You don't transform in constant conversation. That's why God reduced the noise. That's why He limited access. That's why He made silence uncomfortable for you, because silence is doing something to you. Chosen one, let me say something that might sting a little, but it's truth. Some of the people around you have been testing you. Not openly, not aggressively, but subtly. Little comments, carefully placed questions, conversations that circle your past, statements that sound harmless but leave you unsettled.
And you couldn't quite explain why it bothered you, because logically, nothing was wrong, but spiritually, everything was loud. Your spirit noticed what your mouth couldn't prove, and you felt torn. If I say something, I look defensive. If I stay quiet, I feel misunderstood. If I explain, I feel exposed. So God stepped in and said, enough. That's why He told you to be quiet. That's why He told you not to react. That's why He pulled you away. Because not everyone asking questions deserves answers. Not everyone showing concern has pure motives. And not everyone smiling is safe. Chosen one, access is earned by alignment, not history. Just because someone walked with you in the past doesn't mean they are cleared for your future. And God is protecting you from explaining things to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You've probably noticed something else too. Your tolerance has changed. Things you once entertained now exhaust you. Drama you once navigated now repels you. Energy you once absorbed now overwhelms you. And you've wondered if something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong. Your frequency changed. When God elevates your discernment, what once felt normal starts to feel heavy. What once felt exciting starts to feel empty. What once felt familiar starts to feel misaligned. That's not judgment, that's growth. Chosen one, you are learning a new language right now. The language of silence without guilt. The language of boundaries without explanation. The language of trusting what you sense even when you can't prove it. And this language is not learned in crowds. It is learned in stillness, in confusion, in moments where you want to speak, but don't. You are in the in-between, not who you were, not yet who you're becoming. And that space feels uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, but it's sacred. Because this is where shedding happens. This is where old identities loosen their grip. This is where God separates what was useful from what was necessary. The enemy knows this, and that's why he's been trying to provoke you. He can't stop what God ordained. He can't cancel what heaven approved. So he tries to delay. He wants a reaction. He wants you emotional. He wants you explaining. He wants you defending. He wants you stepping out of stillness. Because the moment you break alignment, momentum slows. That's why God has been guarding your mouth. That's why he's been pressing you back into quiet every time you feel the urge to speak. Chosen one, hear this. Your silence is not weakness. Your silence is warfare. Every time you don't react, something breaks in the spirit. Every time you don't explain, something rearranges. Every time you choose peace over proof, heaven moves on your behalf. And yes, there is guilt. You feel it. Guilt for pulling away. Guilt for disappointing people. Guilt for not being as available. Guilt for choosing yourself. But listen carefully. Boundaries are not betrayal. Distance is not rejection. Protection is not punishment. You are not responsible for keeping others comfortable while obeying God. And right now, obedience looks like stillness. This season is not empty. It's full, just hidden. God is strengthening you beneath the surface, deepening your roots so success doesn't uproot you, sharpening your discernment so deception doesn't fool you again. And when this season ends, and it will end, you will understand why silence was required. But for now, stay here, stay quiet, stay aligned. Because what is forming in you cannot be rushed.
Chosen one, the reason this season feels heavier than anything you've experienced before is because the assignment ahead of you carries more weight than anything behind you. God does not prepare lightly for something small, and He does not strip distractions without intention. What you are walking through right now is not confusion, it is compression. Pressure before expansion. Silence before authority. Stillness before movement. You have been asking God questions He has not answered yet, not because He is ignoring you, but because answers too early would sabotage the process. If He explained everything now, you would try to control it. If He revealed the full picture now, you would rush ahead. If He showed you the outcome now, you would skip the refinement. So instead, God gave you distance. Distance from people, distance from noise, distance from validation, distance from your old coping mechanisms. Because He is teaching you how to stand without leaning. Chosen one, there is a reason conversations feel shallow lately. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You are being rewired to stop feeding on stimulation and start feeding on revelation. And that's uncomfortable because revelation doesn't come with applause. It comes with solitude. Let me talk about the emotional pressure you've been carrying. There are moments when you feel peaceful, and moments when sadness hits without warning. Moments when you feel strong, and moments when you feel like disappearing. And you've tried to make sense of it. What's wrong with me? Why can't I stabilize? Why do I feel so deeply lately? Chosen one, this isn't instability. This is release. Old versions of you are dying. Old attachments are loosening. Old identities are dissolving. And death, no matter how necessary, is never painless. You are grieving things you didn't even realize you were attached to. Expectations that were never yours. Roles you were never meant to keep playing. Connections that were built on convenience instead of calling. And grief doesn't always look like crying. Sometimes it looks like fatigue. Sometimes it looks like withdrawal. Sometimes it looks like silence. That's why rest has been so important lately. You can't push through this season like you pushed through others. Your body won't allow it. Your spirit won't tolerate it. Because your spirit is under construction, and construction requires stillness. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not losing momentum. You are conserving energy for what's next. Chosen one, the enemy hates this phase. Not because you're loud, not because you're visible, but because you're becoming unshakable. He preferred you when you reacted. He preferred you when you explained yourself. He preferred you when you overextended. He preferred you when your peace depended on external validation. But now you're learning restraint, and restraint terrifies the enemy because restraint means discernment, and discernment means authority without noise. That's why temptation has shifted. Notice this: the attacks aren't obvious anymore. They're subtle. Distractions that feel reasonable. Conversations that feel innocent. Opportunities that look good but feel off. And you've been hesitating, not because you're afraid, but because your spirit pauses where your logic would have rushed. That pause, that's God. He's training you to listen beyond words, to trust discomfort, to honor hesitation, because hesitation in this season is not fear, it's wisdom. Chosen one, God is also healing something deeper: your relationship with approval. There was a time when being understood mattered more to you than being obedient, when being liked felt safer than being aligned, when explaining yourself felt necessary. But now you don't feel the same urgency, and that's not indifference. That's freedom. You're realizing something powerful. People don't need to understand you to respect what God is doing in you. And those who demand explanations often want control, not clarity. God is teaching you to let results speak, to let fruit talk, to let peace testify, to let consistency replace conversation. And this silence, it's stealing something. There are breakthroughs that require privacy before they require publicity. If people saw the process, they'd try to interrupt it. If they heard every thought, they'd plant doubt. If they knew every shift, they'd question your discernment. So God hid you, not because you're unworthy, but because you're valuable. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Hidden does not mean forgotten. Covered does not mean delayed. Quiet does not mean inactive. God is rearranging timelines behind the scenes. Things you thought were over are being redefined. Doors you stopped knocking on are being unlocked quietly. Connections you released are being replaced strategically. You don't see it yet because God is working out of your sight, not out of your life. This is also why prayer has felt different. You don't have many words lately. Sometimes you just sit. Sometimes you sigh. Sometimes you cry without knowing why. And that's okay, because silence before God is still communication. Your spirit is speaking even when your mouth isn't. Chosen one, you are being taught how to listen again. Not to people, not to opinions, not to expectations, but to God's timing. And timing is everything. If you move too soon, you exhaust yourself. If you speak too early, you expose yourself. If you rush the reveal, you dilute the impact. So God slowed you down. And yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it feels lonely, but it's temporary and it's purposeful. There will come a moment soon when the pressure lifts, not gradually. Suddenly, you'll feel clarity return, energy rise, confidence settle, and you won't need permission to move. You'll know. Until then, your job is not to figure everything out. Your job is to stay aligned. Don't chase closure. Don't force conversations. Don't resurrect what God already released. Stay quiet. Stay prayerful. Stay aware, because what is being formed in you right now will change how people experience you forever.
Chosen one, there is a reason God has not allowed you to fully explain yourself during this season. It's not because your voice doesn't matter. It's because your explanation would weaken the lesson. Some truths are not meant to be spoken. They are meant to be lived. You have been learning restraint in ways you never had to before. Moments where the old you would have responded instantly, defended quickly, clarified passionately, you now pause. And that pause feels unnatural because silence used to feel like surrender. Silence used to feel like losing. Silence used to feel like letting people win. But God has been reframing silence for you. Silence is no longer submission. Silence is selection. You are choosing peace over proving, alignment over argument, timing over impulse.
and that choice is maturing you faster than noise ever could. Chosen one, let me tell you something important. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every accusation needs defense. Not every assumption deserves clarification. Because sometimes God allows people to misunderstand you so He can reveal their hearts. If you correct them too early, you interrupt exposure. And exposure is not about shame, it's about clarity. God is allowing situations to unfold without your interference so motives can surface naturally. You've probably noticed this already. People have been revealing themselves without you asking questions. Their reactions to your silence have been louder than any words you could speak. Some became impatient. Some became offended. Some became controlling. Some became distant. And some became respectful. Pay attention to that. Silence doesn't confuse aligned people. It only frustrates those who need access. Chosen one, your quiet has been acting like a filter. It is separating those who want connection from those who want control. And this separation is necessary for where you're going, because the next version of you cannot be managed by insecure people. You are stepping into a level of clarity that requires fewer voices, not more. That's why God has been narrowing your circle, reducing communication, limiting emotional access, not to isolate you forever, but to recalibrate you fully. There are things God wants to trust you with that cannot survive emotional leakage. That's why He's been teaching you to hold things privately. You don't need to announce every move. You don't need to explain every shift. You don't need to process everything out loud. Some revelations are for intercession, not discussion. Some burdens are for prayer, not conversation. Some transitions are for alignment, not validation. And this is one of those seasons. Chosen one, let's talk about the resistance you've been sensing. It's subtle, but it's there. People questioning your pace. People hinting that you've changed. People reminding you of who you used to be. And it feels strange because no one is openly opposing you, but your spirit feels it. That resistance isn't personal. It's positional. You're shifting out of a role that benefited others. When you stop over-giving, those who depended on your exhaustion feel threatened. When you stop explaining, those who needed your vulnerability lose leverage. When you stop reacting, those who fed off emotional access feel cut off. And instead of adjusting, they resist. But resistance doesn't mean you're wrong. It means something is changing. Chosen one, God is strengthening your spine right now. Not physically, spiritually. He's teaching you how to stand firm without being loud, how to say no without saying anything, how to walk away without slamming doors. That kind of strength can only be built in silence. You're also learning something else that's critical. Not everyone deserves the same version of you. Access is not equal. Energy is not unlimited. Trust is not automatic. And God is teaching you to steward yourself wisely. You don't owe the same emotional investment to everyone. You don't owe constant availability. You don't owe instant responses. Your peace is not negotiable anymore, and that's new for you. You used to sacrifice yourself to keep things smooth. You used to absorb tension to keep others comfortable. You used to explain yourself to avoid conflict. But that version of you is being retired because it cannot survive where God is taking you. Chosen one, here's something you may not have realized yet. This season isn't just about preparation. It's about authority. God is shifting how you move in rooms, how you speak when you do speak, how you carry yourself energetically. When this season breaks, you won't need to announce your presence. Your presence will be felt. There will be a weight to your words that wasn't there before, not because you're louder, but because you're aligned. Alignment carries authority, noise carries insecurity, and you are trading one for the other. That's why God has been removing your dependence on reassurance. You're learning how to trust Him without constant confirmation. And yes, He still sends signs, numbers that repeat, moments that line up too perfectly.
messages that hit too close to home. But notice this, you're no longer desperate for them. You receive them quietly, gratefully, without panic. That's growth. Chosen one, the silence will not last forever. There will be a moment, soon, where God releases your voice again. But when He does, you will speak from authority, not emotion. You will respond, not react. You will set boundaries without guilt. You will move without explanation. And people will feel the difference. Some will be drawn. Some will be uncomfortable. Some will drift away naturally. And that's okay, because clarity always causes division. Light doesn't argue with darkness. It simply exposes it, and you won't need to point anything out. Your peace will do the talking. Chosen one, stay in this posture just a little longer. You're closer than you think. Closer to release. Closer to clarity. Closer to momentum. The discomfort is a sign that the old version no longer fits, and the new one is almost ready. Don't rush the reveal. Don't interrupt the process. Don't break the silence prematurely, because what God is sealing right now cannot be undone later. Chosen one, this is the part where everything begins to make sense. Not because all the answers suddenly appear, but because you finally understand why they were withheld. You are standing at the edge of release, not release from responsibility, but release into alignment. This season of silence was never meant to break you. It was meant to separate you from versions of yourself that could not go forward. And now, God is sealing the work. There is something different about you now. You don't chase conversations the way you used to. You don't need to be seen the way you used to. You don't explain your heart the way you used to. And it's not because you care less. It's because you're rooted deeper. You've learned that peace is more valuable than being right. That alignment is more powerful than agreement. That obedience is more important than applause. Chosen one, this is maturity. And maturity always comes quietly. Let me tell you what God has been doing while you felt hidden.
He has been reordering your priorities. Things that once felt urgent now feel optional. Things that once consumed you now barely register. Things that once pulled at you emotionally now fall flat. That's not numbness, that's clarity. You're no longer driven by urgency. You're guided by discernment. And discernment is dangerous to the enemy, because discernment sees traps before they close. Discernment hears tone behind words. Discernment recognizes patterns instead of reacting to moments. This is why God had to quiet you, because the next level requires precision, not impulse. Chosen one, when this season breaks, and it will, you are not going back to who you were. You are stepping forward as someone anchored. Your voice will carry weight without force. Your decisions will come from peace, not pressure. Your boundaries will stand without explanation, and people will feel it immediately. Some will respect it, some will resist it, some will misunderstand it, but none of that will shake you, because you will no longer be moved by reactions. You will be moved by assignment. This is what God has been preparing you for: to move without anxiety, to choose without guilt, to walk away without regret, to stand firm without noise. Chosen one, let me speak directly to the fear you haven't admitted. You've been wondering, what if I miss it? What if I wait too long? What if silence costs me opportunities? But hear this clearly. What God has for you will not require you to break alignment to receive it. You will not miss what is meant for you by staying obedient. You will not lose what is assigned to you by honoring God's timing. Doors that require compromise were never yours to walk through, and opportunities that need you anxious are not blessings. God is not preparing you for hustle. He's preparing you for authority. And authority does not rush. Authority waits until the room is ready. Chosen one, there is also healing happening in how you love. You are no longer attaching yourself to potential. You are no longer staying where effort is one-sided. You are no longer confusing familiarity with assignment. You're learning to let people show you who they are without trying to fix, save, or explain them. And that is freedom. Because love without boundaries is not love, it's self-abandonment.
God didn't teach you silence to make you distant. He taught you silence to make you secure. Secure enough to love without losing yourself. Secure enough to give without depletion. Secure enough to walk away without bitterness. This is emotional authority, and emotional authority is rare. Chosen one, the enemy cannot manipulate someone who knows when to be quiet. He cannot confuse someone who trusts God more than their emotions. He cannot delay someone who doesn't react on impulse. That's why this season was intense. That's why the pressure was heavy. That's why the loneliness felt sharp. Because resistance always increases right before release. Now let me tell you what happens next. There will be a moment very soon when God gives you a green light. You won't hear it audibly. You won't need confirmation from 10 people. You will know. Your spirit will settle. Your body will feel lighter. Your mind will clear. And movement will feel natural again. Not forced, not anxious, aligned. When that moment comes, things will move fast. Conversations you didn't initiate will find you. Opportunities you stopped chasing will open naturally. Clarity you weren't searching for will arrive effortlessly. And you will realize something powerful. Silence didn't slow you down. Silence positioned you perfectly. Chosen one, when people ask what changed, you won't have a rehearsed answer. Because transformation that happens in the secret place doesn't need explanation. Your peace will explain it. Your consistency will explain it. Your boundaries will explain it. Some people will celebrate the new you. They will recognize growth without feeling threatened. They will honor your pace. They will respect your space. These are your people. Others will feel uncomfortable. They will bring up the old you. They will question your distance. They will interpret your boundaries as rejection. But remember this, everyone doesn't go where you're going. And that's not arrogance, that's assignment. Chosen one, this season has taught you something priceless. You don't need to announce your healing. You don't need to prove your growth. You don't need to convince anyone of your calling. What God completes in private, He confirms in public, without your help. So as this silence begins to lift, carry what you've learned with you. Speak less, observe more, move intentionally, rest deeply, and never forget, your silence was not weakness, it was wisdom. Your stillness was not delay, it was strategy. Your separation was not punishment, it was protection. If this message met you exactly where you are, don't scroll past it. Type Amen, not as a ritual, but as an agreement. An agreement to trust God's timing over your urgency. An agreement to honor silence when He asks for it. An agreement to protect what He is building in you. And if this brought clarity, hit that like button so this message can find someone else who thinks their isolation is punishment when it's actually preparation. Chosen one, stay aligned, stay obedient, stay grounded. Because what comes next requires the version of you that was formed in the silence. If He cannot break you through pain, He will attempt comfort. If He cannot shake your faith, He will try to dilute your focus. Guard your focus. Your time is sacred now. You are entering a season where one decision can accelerate everything. One connection can unlock new territory. One act of obedience can shift your entire direction. Do not treat this season casually. Structure your mornings. Protect your energy. Choose your circle wisely. Speak with intention. You are no longer experimenting with life. You are executing destiny, and destiny requires discipline. There are gifts inside you that have not fully surfaced yet. Creativity you suppressed, leadership you avoided, influence you underestimated. but they are rising. You will begin to notice people seeking your advice more. You will notice opportunities aligning that once felt unreachable. You will sense doors opening that previously remained locked. Do not hesitate when the moment comes. Move. Because hesitation is the last chain trying to hold you. You have prayed for clarity. Now clarity demands courage. And courage is not loud. It is consistent. Small daily obedience, quiet confidence, unshakable direction. You do not need everyone to understand you. You only need alignment with the one who called you. And let this settle in your spirit. The delay did not disqualify you. The waiting did not weaken you. The silence did not mean absence. It meant preparation. You were being strengthened in private, so you could stand in public without collapsing. Now, as you step forward, there will be visible change, financial shifts, relational adjustments, mental clarity, new habits forming naturally. You will not have to force transformation. It will flow because you surrendered. And surrender is strength. The next 72 hours will not be magical fireworks. They will be internal confirmation, a peace you cannot explain, a certainty that replaces anxiety, a quiet knowing that something irreversible has begun. Pay attention to that peace. That is the seal. From this point forward, do not entertain voices that minimize you. Do not revisit conversations that drain you. Do not rehearse old insecurities. You are stepping into authority. Walk like it. Speak like it. Decide like it. There are people who will encounter hope because you refuse to quit. There are lives that will shift because you endured when it was hard. There are rooms you will enter that change simply because your presence carries weight. Not because of perfection, but because of refinement. You were refined in fire, and fire produces purity. Now I bless your mind with clarity. I bless your heart with courage. I bless your hands with productivity. I bless your path with alignment. May confusion break. May fear dissolve. May discipline rise. May favor surround you. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not ordinary. You are appointed for this hour. And if this message resonated with your spirit, if something inside you said, "This is speaking directly to me," then do not ignore that confirmation. Declare it. Type "I receive" in the comments as a sign of alignment. Do not stay silent in a moment of activation. And if you are ready to walk fully into your calling, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now, because this is not random content. This is strategic preparation. Each message builds upon the last. Each word sharpens your awareness. Each warning strengthens your discernment. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Share this message with someone who has been feeling the shift but could not explain it. Be the confirmation in their life. Stay connected, stay disciplined, stay aligned. Your next level has already begun. And remember, you were chosen for a reason.